Today, we're going to try and hit fast and hit hard with Izzet Prowess. I have one of those quests to cast red and blue spells, so why not try out some Izzet Prowess with some of the new cards from the recent sets. If you're unfamiliar with Prowess, Prowess cares about you casting non-creature spells, so we only have a total of 16 creatures in this deck. We have our 8 1-drops that have Prowess, and our 8 2-drops that have Prowess, or Prowess-esque abilities. And then besides that, we have Crash Through as a way to cycle through cards. As 1 mana, draw a card, and then it also has the advantage of giving our creatures trample. We have 8 cards that give +3/+0, or +3 power rather. Monstrous Rage gives trample, turn inside out gives us protection against removal. Speaking of protection against removal, we have Spell Pierce back into standard. Aether Drift reintroduced it into standard, so we're playing 2 copies of it to try and catch the opponent trying to sweep our board and counter it, or casting anything big non-creature spells. Speaking of big, we have Bulk Up. This is our kind of big finisher move in this deck. It is 2 mana, double target creature's power until end of turn. So if you have something like Slickshot Show-Off, you cast this on the Slickshot Show-Off, it's going to get its prowess trigger, or in this case +2/+0, and then you double up the power. It can turn a Slickshot Show-Off into 6 power from a 1/2, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this can do a lot of damage. It also has flashback, which is kind of nice. And kind of nice, we also have card draw in Pearl of Wisdom. We're playing a total of 8 otters in this deck, so this can be 2 mana, draw 2 cards, which can help us restock our hand and hopefully keep on hitting the opponent. That is the deck. Let's see how we can do on the ranked ladder. Alright. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel. If you want to support the channel, click the subscribe button down below, and I think this hand is pretty good. We have a 1-drop and we have our Slickshot Show-Offs. We have card draw to pair with the Stormchaser's talent, which is also very nice. Hopefully this will be good. Run it out. Might just go for the card draw before anything else, before the opponent gets rid of our 1/1, but who knows? Okay, the opponent looks to be on a cat deck. Sky Knight Squire is a creature that cares about creatures entering the battlefield. They could just be mono white stuffs, but unlikely. Might just run out Slickshot and swing in. Actually, if they want to trade their Sky Knight Squire, we don't mind. It does make our Pearl of Wisdom worse, but I know the opponent's probably not going to want to block because this gets pretty big if you have creatures enter the battlefield. Put it by Ghosts, they're going to exile our Slickshot Show-Off. Kind of annoying, but we will live. Alright, what is the right move? I think I want to see more cards because we are drawing into quite a few lands, it feels like, at the moment. I think we run out Elusive Otter. Could have waited until post-combat, but it doesn't really make a difference. The opponent is tapped out. Alright, next turn we can Flickshot, Crash Through, turn inside out, and do a bunch of damage. Where's the thanks? Well, indeed lands. Indeed. I feel bad for our opponent here. Clearly struggling on drawing lands. We'll pump our Elusive Otter before combat so the opponent can't block it. And then I think we can just swing in. We'll pump up Slickshot Show-Off because spread out the pumps, and that's a lot of damage. I don't know if it's lethal, but that yeah, GG. Well, our goal was to play a quick game. It turned out even faster, I think, because our opponent struggled to draw some land. So, you know, sometimes the magic gods giveth, and sometimes they taketh, and it looks like they gave it to us and they take it from our opponent that game. All right, 1 mana open. Could attack in, hold up, turn inside out, or I could just Pearl of Wisdom. I think I Pearl of Wisdom, attack in. We don't have much action here. This allows us to keep hitting our land drops, and then maybe run out Slickshot with turn inside out protection. Opponent is on Golgari, Mosswood Dread Knight. You don't actually really mind about that, and they use the pay life side, which is interesting. So we'll probably go Slickshot, and I think we just want damage, so we'll turn Inside Out. They're probably going to remove something on their turn, but this is still 8 damage, so seems worth. And then they're probably not going to remove the Otter, so we'll be able to draw another 2 cards with our Pearl. Wow, these Pearls of Wisdom have been so good. 2 mana draw 2 is pretty darn good. Just have to make it a 1 mana draw 3 and we're back at Ancestral Recall. Opponent is eyeing up the board. They could have like a Malicious Eclipse, which would kill both of our creatures, but that's not a very common card. And GG. Alright. Opponent goes first. That's a little unfortunate, but we'll live. This hand looks alright. We have 2 creatures. We have card draw. We have pump. Pretty much all you could want. Another big upside of Stormchaser's talent that I haven't really mentioned is it makes a prowess creature. You have these level up abilities, but it also is a non-creature spell. So it kind of feeds into the game plan of casting. We're going to do a Pearl of Wisdom here. Don't really like the fact that our opponent could just turn 3, go for a sweeper. Get Lost is funny, but they could be going for a temporary lockdown. And that's why I didn't run out a 2-drop. I could have ran out the Elusive Otter and held up Spell Pierce as like another option, but I think it's better to go like this. Swing in with the Emberheart Challenger here. I could commit more to the board and run out like the Elusive Otter or the Stormchaser's talent. I think I run out the Otter, and the next turn I play the talent as a way to trigger everything. And then we can hold up a Spell Pierce. Could bulk up and Spell Pierce whatever they cast in response, potentially. So it looks like the opponent might be removing. Yeah, lay down arms. We're going to gain some life for that, but definitely not the ideal way of going. Alright, this is a bit of an inflection point. We could... I think we run out Emberheart Challenger, and the opponent's probably got another removal spell that we can try and Spell Pierce. Try and make use of this Spell Pierce. Get Lost. Okay, Get Lost is actually okay, but at the same time, I like my Emberheart Challenger because it can exile the cards at the top of our library to help us draw some. 2 cards in hand. Did they get another? Okay, Caretaker's Talent, not going to do anything, so we do have a pretty big window here. I could crash through and try and draw a land. If it's a Spirebluff Canal, it'll be tapped, but it might be better to bulk up, go for 6 damage. No, we're going to go for the land drop. You can also cast the Stormchaser's Talent. Not a land drop. Cast the Stormchaser's Talent. And we'll attack in and then cast the Elusive Otter. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have another temporary lockdown, but we do have the Emberheart Challenger. Though should we just hold back the Elusive Otter? Maybe we should, in case they have a sweeper. Though if they have more targeted removal, Izzet is pretty darn good because it's also going to draw them a card to Caretaker's Talent. Alright, regret not running out the Otter. This will go up to 6 power, I believe, which is big. Oh, I should have ran out the Stormchaser's Talent first. Yikes. Misplay. Alright, there you go. Stormchaser Talent. Okay, our 3/3 can't be blocked by the 1/1s. Phasa can kill Emberheart Challenger, but we have another. Phasa could kill the Otter, which is kind of annoying. Man, if I played that slightly different, the Challenger would have been even bigger, but I did, yeah, they're not blocking the Challenger. This is going to be the first real challenge for us here. And draw another card by making a copy of their 1/1. I want to cast the bulk up on the Challenger, try and find a Alright, turn inside out is actually a pretty good card here. That can allow us to look off the top of our library, though we could go for unblockable Otter damage. This will bring it up to 2 power, and then we double it up to 4. That's not very good. I would really like to find a land. If we just could find a red source, we could bulk up and turn inside out our Elusive Otter and swing past everything. Alright, we will Stormchaser's talent. Double it up to 6. That's not lethal. I happen to do a thing called Thinking Opponent. It happens occasionally. I think we hold on to the bulk up. No, we're gonna use the bulk up on the Otter to give it unblockable and go in for 6. Fortunately, everything else can't swing in, so that is a bit of a downside, the way we played that. But the Otter could finish the opponent next turn. Nope, they have to lay down arms. So we need trample, or the opponent can give Beza flying and swing in for 6 lifelink. Oh wait, no, it doesn't give flying and lifelink, it's just 2 counters on something. Alright, Slickshot Show-Off is an option. Man, there's land drops. We are playing 22 lands? Yeah, 22 lands, so... feels a little unfortunate what's happening. Play out an Otter. And, I think we just passed. Maybe I should have been trying to exile things off this Emberheart Challenger more aggressively to find more land drops, but... sometimes you don't draw them, and, top 20 cards, 3 lands is pretty brutal though. Up to 8, sweeper. Right. Caretaker's talent can copy the lifelinker. Doesn't have flying, but they do have another Elspeth. No, wait, they don't have Elspeth trigger this turn. We have a turn. They're gonna lay down arms. They don't lay down arms it. Alright, red source. It is probably too late for us, unfortunately, though. Because I could play this, turn inside out it, but I think that's too slow. Maybe we go off of the Emberheart Challenger and try and find something, like a bulk up. That would give us lethal. It's a bulk up. And it goes up to 10 power, and they have 0 flying blockers. GG opponent. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, that was an absolutely insane top deck. I can't believe that. Alright, this hand seems alright. We are a little bit dependent on this Stormchaser's talent token surviving. Please don't just murder it yet. Ooh, Hopeless Nightmare. Did not expect that. Can actually probably drop a land. We're gonna Pearl of Wisdom next turn anyways. I kind of don't like the fact that I got all the pain lands here, but I don't make the rules. Another Hopeless Nightmare would make me annoyed. Well, I'm officially annoyed. What are you gonna do about it, opponent? Apparently cast another... Alright, give this Prowess trigger. Give it another Prowess trigger and draw 2. Wow, these pearls. We're getting very wise with these pearls. Going in for 3. Opponent got us down to 15. We have them down to 13. We have Slickshot plus Monstrous Rage for a fair amount of damage. Forge. The opponent's obviously on a Rakdos sacrifice deck, but I think we're in a really good spot. Alright, so if I cast this and then Monstrous Rage, how much damage is that? That is 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. So that's 10. If I can math correctly. 3 plus 3 is 6. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. We could bring down the opponent to 10. Or I could draw, like, bring back a card. I think there's absolutely no reason for us to not just go like this. Opponent will probably kill the Slickshot, so maybe we put the roll onto a different creature. And the opponent concedes. Alright, you go first. This hand... Okay, well, I don't know what our opponent must have had to go somewhere, and so they left. But, wow. I was looking at my match history, and I've won the last 15 games in a row. I feel like we're it's about time that I lose a game here. Opponent's probably on... Oh, okay. This is a little different. A little different. Well, Stormchaser's talent. Opponent looks to be on a Reanimator deck, but... Interesting. Oh, a Monstrous Rage. They seem to be on a Reanimator deck because Builder's a talent. The level 3 can return a non-land permanent or non-creature non-land permanent from your graveyard. They're playing Azorius, so they might be kind of an Omniscience Reanimator combo deck. We have to watch out for that, but our hand is pretty fast with many pump spells, so maybe we'll be okay. Builder's talent. Yep, that. The opponent has got some pretty big blockers, or high toughness blockers, and we drew into a land. That's not good. Check this out, opponent. We got actually many pump spells. Both walls are down. They're down to 8, but they could have a Day of Judgment, which would be a bit problematic for us. They have a Restless Anchorage. The full art land things are kind of hard to exile a card from graveyard. Each opponent okay, so well, we're not getting those cards back anytime soon with our talents because the opponent can just nuke the graveyard with their Soul Guide Lantern. But we can swing in for 5, maybe. Soul Partition, interesting. Alright, down to 6. We could really just use a Pearl of Wisdom. 40 of the consoles. Actually not that bad for us here. Slickshot. Oh, not bad. Well, we have to cast Slickshot this turn if we want to be able to swing in with it. And there's another Soul Partition. Interesting. I will play out Slickshot. It will be tapped by Authority of Consoles. It will gain of life, but we at least get Slickshot down so we can attack in with it next turn. They draw a card. Is it a sweeper? Or a land to cast a sweeper? Sunfall? Overlord of the Mistmoors. So they got blockers now. They have the pin on our graveyard removed, so we can actually go ahead and reanimate our Monstrous Rage. Wait a minute. There is no Monstrous Rage. He got exiled. Okay, well, the thing that gives trample, we'll do that one. And draws a card. Pearl of Wisdom. Dang, okay, well. I think our best interest is to swing in. We can Pearl of Wisdom next turn. looks like the opponent is going to trade for both of our creatures. In hindsight, I should have not done that, because I thought they were going to trade for only one, but that doesn't really make any sense. Whoops, I should have leveled up a talent. Well, actually, it's probably best I don't level up a talent, because if the opponent has a removal that works, every card that we cast would trigger Authority of the Consoles, which would be problematic. I think this is one of the... This is going to be a game that we lose, because we gotta somehow fight through all of this removal here. Something we cast the crash through. Opponent is up to 4. They could reanimate their... Yeah, that would have triggered their Builder's Talents. I like Builder's Talents. It is... Or Builder's Talent. It is a cool card. It does kind of force you out of playing Temporary Lockdown though, which is a bit sad. So the Murex and the Fountain Port is going to work pretty well in terms of they can make a token that they can that they can trigger or put all those Builder's Talent triggers on. Going to probably tick up onto the Emberheart Challenger, I would assume, but that's probably a good sign, because it means the opponent doesn't have good removal. Spell Pierce. Okay, well, opponent, I guess we had the win in the bag, because we could reanimate one of our +3/+Os and swing in for lethal. Okay, opponent goes first. We have Otter. We don't have any, like, that many non-creature spells though to trigger our prowess prowess. So I think we still keep it, but that is a bit of a concern with his hand. Molt Tender, so it looks like our opponent is probably on Insidious Roots. They care about putting things into the graveyard, or they could be a Jund Delirium or Jund like Exhaust or Agatha's Cauldron, Soul Cauldron deck. Or the opponent's just a fan of Molt Tender. It's also an option. I do like we have the fact that we have an Otter sub-theme. Okay, so scratch that. I think I know what the opponent is playing. I think the opponent is playing a graveyard deck that uses Beanstalk and creatures that get discounted for the number of creatures in your graveyard. There's a one deck that was like a Golgari graveyard that made it into the Pro Tour top 8. So Sent Out Scout, I don't know if they were playing that, but I think one thing they mentioned was they wish they didn't play like one of their 1-drops or something. And there's a certain card that they didn't care for. Yeah, there's Beanstalk. So it does appear to be that graveyard discount deck. Opponent can get rid of our Emberheart Challenger, but it looks like they're not going to go for it, which I think is a bit of a mistake, but we can't counter the discard effect, unfortunately, so these Spell Pierces look pretty derpy. I'll cast Crash Through to see if we draw into anything relevant to target the Emberheart Challenger with. I probably shouldn't have played the land for turn, now that I think about it, just in case we drew into a creature to target Emberheart Challenger with. Do we run out the second Stormchaser talent, or do we try and hold up a Spell Pierce for a Beanstalk? I don't think we'll actually resolve the Spell Pierce. Like the Spell Pierce won't counter a Beanstalk potentially, so it might be better to push one more damage and get an Otter onto the battlefield that we can swing in with the next turn. Though the opponent will be able to just play this. I forgot about the Harvester and Misery effect. When it enters the battlefield, it gives -2/-2. So we are just going to lose our entire board. Okay, this was a misplay. I got too distracted trying to think about what was in the opponent's deck, and I forgot to actually change my plan according to it. Or especially according to what is in their hand. That's my bad. Down to 13, but I think the tide is going to be turning very, very quickly here. Mill a card. We can get back Crash Through. I wonder if we can get back our Elusive Otter with Stormchaser's talent, because you're able to get back instant or sorcery cards. I think you might be able to, but I guess we'll find out next turn. I think we're going to be leveling up Stormchaser's talent, unless the opponent goes for the discard on the Harvester of Misery and tries to keep their Molt Tenders. Does not appear to be how this is going. Opponent surveilling. Alright, Elusive Otter. I could just play that. I think I will just play that. And hope the opponent does not have a million removal spells. Because we can counter one of them, sort of. Overlord of Bailmark, they're going to be able to dig further into the graveyard, mill another Beanstalk, which is good for us. So that means they're not going to have kind of an infinite supply of cards. They're going to have to cast cards that they top deck. Sort of like us. Hollow Marauder. Any number of target opponents each discard a card. For each of those opponents who didn't discard a card with mana value 4 or greater, draw a card. Oh, I don't have any 4 mana value or greater cards in my deck. Opponent has put 9 power onto the board, so we're on a 2-turn clock here. They're sort of starting next turn. Opponent doesn't even swing in with their Harvester of Misery, funny enough. Okay, so we can level up Stormchaser's talent, or we could try and turn inside out our Elusive Otter. They can only block it with their Harvester of Misery. It won't have Trample, so that's not very useful. I think we just go for Stormchaser's talent here, unfortunately, and grab Crash Through. And hope our opponent doesn't have a overwhelming remorse, which could remove our Otter. If we had a land drop here, it would have been much better, because we would have played the land, got something back with Stormchaser's talent, and then been able to cast the Crash Through, draw. Down to 11. Can we make it? Hulk Buster Swarm and Chitin Gravestalker means we're going to need our creatures to be massive. We need a bulk up off the top right here. Not a bulk up. That seems problematic. We can play Emberheart Challenger. We can only block. Yeah, they have actually so much evasion with Menace and flying. We can play out the Emberheart Challenger, target it with turn inside out. I don't know if that fixes anything, but I think it's our best bet. We need to see if we can find something. And a Slickshot, a little too late, and we're dead. We are dead. Opponent can just freely block the Otter. Shouldn't have really swung in with it, but ultimately I don't think it's going to change the results of this game unless our opponent fails to click the attack button next turn. I mean, even in that situation, then they wouldn't be attacking with anything, and so we'd be okay. But not the reality we're going to be facing here. We are facing death. One thing I thought about in this deck, is it better to run Spell Pierce, or is it better to run like Unsummon or the new card Bounce Off to go ahead and bounce the opponent's creatures or protect our creatures? I think Spell Pierce is ultimately better, because if you dump a bunch of pump spells into a creature, bouncing it back to your hand isn't as good as just stopping the removal in general. Alright, that is going to do it for this deck. Fortunately, our win streak got put to an end. We win 6-1 with the deck, which overall is pretty good results, but I think this deck is going to be kind of a deck where sometimes you draw the wrong mixture of cards, and you can run hot with it or you can run cold with it. So I think we got a little bit lucky in our runnings here, but let me know how the deck does for you if you try it out, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. And have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, or wherever and whenever you're watching. Take care of yourself. Ciao.